The Baltimore Ravens 2025 training camp has been nothing short of intense, an atmosphere buzzing with competition promise, and unfortunately the early sting of injuries. As the team sets its sights on a deep playoff run, perhaps even a Super Bowl one major storyline has emerged to stir up the early optimism: the injury to tight end Isaiah Likely. And make no mistake, it's not just a minor bump in the road. This has ripple effects all across the Ravens offense. Late in a recent practice session, during one-on-one drills between offensive skill players and defensive backs, Isaiah Likely went down. The exact moment wasn't caught by most observers, but what everyone did see was the aftermath. Likely needing assistance, being carted off the field, his day clearly done. Soon after, reports confirmed what many feared: a small fracture in his foot. It's the kind of injury that typically requires surgery and a recovery timeline of roughly 6 to 8 weeks. That timeline puts his availability for week 1 firmly in question. This isn't just an injury to a depth piece. Likely was poised for a breakout season. With the Ravens building out their passing game and Likely entering what could be a contract-defining year, this injury throws a wrench into both his individual momentum and the team's early season plans. Foot injuries for players in skill positions are tricky. They mess with explosiveness, balance, and confidence. And confidence is everything when your job is to plant hard and change direction in a blink of an eye. The surgery itself, while routine in the eyes of modern sports medicine, still presents significant challenges. Anytime you cut into the body, there's trauma involved. Ligaments, fascia, nerves, tissue, none of it heals in isolation. A single drop of blood in the wrong spot can affect nearby structures. Recovery isn't just about bone regrowth, it's about regaining functional movement, reestablishing nerve signals, and restoring the proprioception, the subconscious ability to trust your foot again in motion. Isaiah's game is dynamic. He's not a lumbering tight end who lives in the short zones. He stretches the field lines up all over and thrives off quick bursts of movement. That means even a small fracture is a big deal. And then there's the mental side. Players will tell you that once the season starts, no one is 100% healthy. From week 1 on, it's about managing pain and performance. But for someone like Likely, whose injury comes before the season even starts, the challenge is different. He's not just trying to stay healthy, he's fighting to reach full speed again before he's even stepped onto the field. There's no easing into it. When he returns, whether it's week 1, week 3, or even later, he's going to be expected to contribute immediately. All of this is further complicated by the business side of football. This is a contract year. Leverage in the NFL is currency, and health is often what tips the scale in contract talks. Just look at the history. Guys like Joe Flacco and Lamar Jackson bet on themselves at the right time and won big. But that all hinges on being available and, more importantly, producing at a high level. For Likely, this injury could shift that leverage, at least for now. He'll have to prove himself all over again, not just as a playmaker, but as someone who can be counted on physically across a full season. And it's not just Likely. While his injury is the most significant so far, he's not the only Raven dealing with a setback. Zay Flowers, the explosive wide receiver expected to take an even bigger step in 2025, was also sidelined in recent practices. He left the field visibly frustrated, tossing his helmet, walking gingerly, and clearly not himself. Head coach John Harbaugh categorized it as a camp thing, the kind of soft tissue discomfort or overuse soreness that pops up during the dog days of training camp. But when your game is built on twitch suddenness and elite bursts like Zay's, even minor leg issues can be cause for concern if not managed correctly. Flowers is known for his constant motion at practice. He's the type to jog between drills, to always be in motion to push the tempo. So seeing him slow down even temporarily was a moment. The staff is being cautious, and they should be. Rushing him back too soon would be a massive mistake. When your role is to be that explosive weapon, in the offense, there's simply no value in risking something bigger for a couple of extra reps in July. Then there's Jalen Armour-Davis. He's another young piece of this Ravens team, and like Flowers, he was held out of practice recently. His MRI came back clean, thankfully, another so-called camp thing. The team's approach has been consistent caution over risk, and that's the right call. But when multiple players start stacking up on the injury report, even temporarily, it does create tension around training camp. These reps matter. Chemistry matters. Install periods are limited. You want your guys available amid all the injury talk. However, Roquan Smith reminded everyone what leadership sounds like. After being subtly criticized by an anonymous league source, someone suggesting he looked sluggish at times and wasn't in peak shape, Roquan clapped back with authority. "I was all pro," he said, "went to the Pro Bowl. Tune in this year, and we'll see." It wasn't angry, but it was decisive. Roquan isn't out here to make excuses all feed into speculation. He's focused. And from everything we've seen at camp, he looks every bit like the centerpiece of the Ravens' defense. Last year, Roquan started slow, no question. He looked like he had added some weight, maybe strategically to be more physical in the trenches, or maybe just adjusting to a new scheme. But by the end of the year, he was flying around the field again. And now heading into year 2 under defensive coordinator Zach Orr, Roquan looks locked in, quicker, sharper, more vocal. This is his unit. And everyone knows it. When he's on point, the rest of the defense feeds off that energy. And right now, he's bringing it. He's not the only one turning heads. Rookie corner TJ Tampa is having the kind of training camp that gets people talking. On back-to-back days, Tampa made plays that looked like they came straight out of a veteran's highlight reel. Whether it was reading a deep comeback route and arriving with perfect timing, or tracking receivers stride for stride in man coverage, he's consistently showing poise and control well beyond his years. There was one rep in particular, lining up against Tez Walker, that said everything you need to know. Walker ran a textbook route with layers, stutter, go, stop. It is the kind of pattern that gives most young corners fits. But Tampa stayed in phase, broke on the ball, and forced the incompletion. Even when Walker appeared to win the rep snatching the ball out of the air with strong hands, Tampa had the presence of mind to punch it out before the catch could be secured. That kind of consistency can be faked. When quarterbacks look his way, there's hesitation. That's how you know a corner is gaining respect. It's a similar story across the Ravens secondary. Jaquan Amos, Anthony Miller, and Jair Alexander have all flashed. In one sequence, Alexander locked down a receiver in press coverage, disrupting the timing so badly that even when the pass was caught, it was clear who won the rep. The physicality, the technique, the awareness. This unit looks deep, and they're competing like every rep matters. Up front, Travis Jones and Broderick Washington are creating havoc. These guys aren't just space eaters. They're making plays, shooting gaps, pushing the pocket. You watch a team drill and their numbers keep popping up. They're the ones collapsing. Protections forcing quarterbacks off their spots. That disruption is what allows linebackers like Roquan to do what they do. And speaking of linebackers, the youth movement is very real. Chandler Martin, Jay Higgins, Jake Hummel, Teddy Buchanan, these guys are not just bodies filling drills. They're diagnosing plays, communicating, flowing to the football. There's a level of discipline and maturity that stands out. They're not overthinking. They're playing fast. And with joint practices and preseason games on the horizon, this linebacker room is suddenly looking very competitive. Nothing is guaranteed. Trent Simpson may be the favorite to take the next step, but he better not get comfortable. The Wolves are coming. Across the board, the Ravens' defense is dominating training camp. Whether it's the official internal scoring system or just the eye test, the defense is outplaying the offense on most days. And while that might concern some fans hoping to see the offense light it up, it's actually a great sign. Defense is usually ahead early in camp. And when you have this many young players flashing, it's a sign that the depth, the culture, and the development pipeline are all trending in the right direction. Even the lesser-known names are stepping up. Leonte Wester, for example, reportedly had his best day of camp recently. That matters. It's not just about the stars. Championship teams are built on the backs of the guys fighting for those final roster spots. The players who turn special. Teams reps and scout team snaps into meaningful depth. The Ravens seem to have a few of those guys emerging, and it's showing in the daily competition. So while the injury to Isaiah Likely was a gut punch, it hasn't derailed the energy in Owings Mills. If anything, it's sharpened the focus. The message is clear. The season waits for no one. And whether it's veterans holding their ground or rookies stepping up to claim a spot, the Ravens are building something. The work is happening now. The foundation is being laid, snap by snap, rep by rep. As training camp rolls on in Owings Mills, the Baltimore Ravens continue to get a clearer picture of who they are, who's stepping up, and where the real battles are taking shape across the depth chart. With each passing day, it becomes more obvious that this isn't just another year. This is a season carrying real weight, a veteran core, a franchise quarterback in his prime, and a defense that's beginning to flash the kind of depth championship teams are built on. But if the defense has been the story so far, then the offense is the subplot that's slowly starting to stir. Let's talk quarterbacks, because any discussion about the Ravens always starts and ends with Lamar Jackson. There's a calmness in his presence at camp this year, an unspoken sense of control. He knows the offense now. There's no learning curve, no forced adaptation, just execution. When he steps under center or lines up in shotgun, there's an awareness in how he operates. And that confidence is translating in the finer details. Eye manipulation, timing routes, red zone decisiveness. He's making throws he wouldn't even attempt 2 or 3 years ago. And sure, the defense is winning most days, but when Lamar finds a rhythm in team drills, it's like watching a chess master setting traps with every drop back. But Lamar's command means very little if his supporting cast doesn't step up. That's where these reps become critical. With Zay Flowers temporarily out, the doors wide open for other receivers to flash, and some are answering that call. Guys like Leonte Wester are quietly turning heads. Every year there's that one name no one saw coming, a receiver buried on the depth chart who refuses to be ignored. Wester's been that guy this camp. His route running has been clean, his hands have been reliable, and more importantly, he's shown the ability to get open, something not every fringe roster player can do against NFL caliber coverage. It's moments like these that define careers. For someone like Wester, every practice rep is a chance to rewrite his narrative. He's not just catching passes, he's earning trust. And when preseason games begin, those quiet flashes in camp have a way of becoming loud statements under the lights. Meanwhile, the tight end group has taken a hit with Isaiah Likely sidelined. But that doesn't mean the cupboard's bare. Charlie Kolar has stepped into a larger role, and there's a seriousness to how he's approached that opportunity. Kolar has always had the size and the hands, but what we're seeing now is a player more refined in his releases, crisper in his route breaks, and more determined as a blocker. He's not just running through the motions, he's attacking every snap like a starter. That mentality is contagious, and it's exactly what the Ravens need while Likely recovers. The running back rotation continues to be one of the more competitive groups in camp. Keaton Mitchell, Justice Hill, and rookie Rasheen Ali are all vying for meaningful touches behind presumed starter Derrick Henry. Mitchell, still bouncing back from last year's season and a knee injury, has been slowly ramping up. You can see the explosiveness returning bit by bit. He might not be at 100% just yet, but the vision is still there. The cuts are coming quicker. The acceleration is sharpening. The Ravens will take it slow with him, but if he rounds back into form, that change of pace speed he brings could be deadly in this new-look offense. Justice Hill, on the other hand, is quietly building a resume that screams reliable. He's not flashy, but he's smart, consistent, and versatile. His pass protection looks cleaner this year, always a huge factor in whether a back earns third down snaps. And he's catching the ball with more confidence. In a group that might see carries divided in unconventional ways, Hill is the kind of player who keeps earning his way onto the field. Then there's Rasheen Ali, the rookie, trying to prove he belongs. His camp hasn't been perfect. There have been moments where the speed of the game clearly tested him. But you can't deny the physical tools. He hits the hole with intent. He finishes runs, and he's learning quickly. That kind of trajectory bodes well, especially with preseason games looming. Ali's the type of back who could make a splash in those matchups, especially against second and third string defenses. A few strong reps, a highlight run or two, and suddenly he's more than just a camp body. He's in the conversation. On the offensive line, the battles are fiercer than ever. With Kevin Zeitler no longer in the building, the right guard spot remains up for grabs. Andrew Voorhees, the 2023 draft pick who spent last year recovering from injury, is starting to look like the player the Ravens hoped he'd become. His punch is powerful, and he's anchoring well in one-on-ones. There's still some rust, but the upside is obvious. Meanwhile, Daniel Falele is continuing to take reps inside and out, showcasing rare power and improving footwork. If he can refine his balance and maintain leverage consistently, he might sneak into the rotation, not just as a swing tackle, but as a guard option too. The center position is also one to watch. Tyler Linderbaum is entrenched as the starter, but the depth behind Him is getting tested. Sam Mustafa has had a solid camp showing a better command of the protection calls and providing that steadying veteran presence. It's not glamorous work, but offensive line depth becomes vital the moment someone goes down midseason. And the Ravens are making sure that whoever's next man up can hold the line without compromising the scheme. Defensively, the depth across the board continues to shine, but it's the defensive backs who keep stealing the show. We already talked about TJ Tampa and the statement he's making, but the secondary as a whole is playing with swagger. These aren't just one-off highlight plays. The consistency is there. On most passing reps, the ball's contested, the windows are tight, the receivers have to fight for every yard. That's not by accident. That's the byproduct of a unit. With talent, trust, and chemistry, young players like Jaquan Amos are rising fast. Amos has been physical in coverage and aggressive near the line of scrimmage. He's not afraid to mix it up. In red zone drills, he's shown a knack for making plays in tight quarters using his body control and anticipation to close space quickly. Those are the kinds of reps that earn roles on game day, especially in sub packages or on special teams. On the edge, David Ojabo is healthy and flashing more consistently. This camp is huge for him. After missing so much time his first 2 seasons, Ojabo needs to string together healthy weeks and stack good reps. So far, he's doing just that. The burst off the edge is there. He's winning with bend. But more importantly, he's starting to win with hand usage and counters. That evolution is critical. Speed gets you close. Technique gets you home. And if Ojabo keeps trending this way, the Ravens' pass rush becomes a lot more dangerous. Inside, Justin Madubuike continues to be a wrecking ball. Every day he reminds you why the Ravens prioritize locking him up. His get-off is elite, his motor is relentless, and in team drills he's consistently penetrating, forcing quarterbacks to adjust and blowing up run plays before they get started. Pair him with Broderick Washington and Travis Jones, and suddenly you have an interior rotation that can control the line of scrimmage against anyone. Then there's the young linebacker group, an area where the competition has become fascinating. We've already mentioned Chandler Martin and Jay Higgins, but the emergence of Jake Hummel and Teddy Buchanan has made this a true battle. They're not just filling gaps, they're making reads. They're running sideline to sideline. They're staying square and finishing plays. It's early and preseason will tell us more, but the early signs are promising. And speaking of preseason, that's the next big test. The joint practices the game, reps the live bullets. This is where the depth gets sorted. This is where the fringe guys either fade or force their way into the picture. That applies to everyone, from undrafted rookies trying to earn a special team slot to veterans on one-year deals looking to prove they still have juice. The competition is real, and it's pushing everyone. This is what you want to see in a contender. Not just stars showing up, but role players fighting like their careers depend on it, because they do. A guy like Anthony Miller knows that every catch, every block, every snap could be the difference between making the roster and watching from home. And so far, he's been answering the call, he's been physical, he's been vocal, and he's showing the kind of toughness that endears him to both coaches and quarterbacks. Even among the defensive backs, the hunger is palpable. Jair Alexander, for example, isn't just coasting off his name. He's scrapping for every rep, challenging every route, and looking like a man on a mission. That sets the tone. And for the younger corners watching, it's a masterclass in how to sustain success in the league. One of the best things about this camp has been the energy. Every session feels intense but focused. The staff is pushing tempo without compromising technique. Players are correcting each other, coaching each other, building camaraderie through competition. That's how rosters are molded. Not by big names alone, but by culture. And right now, the Ravens culture is clicking. There's still a long road ahead. Injuries will happen. Adversity will strike. But the early signs, they're encouraging. From Lamar's command of the offense to the defense swarming like a hive this team has. The bones of a contender. If the young pieces continue to grow, if the veterans stay healthy, and if the depth continues to emerge, this could be one of the most complete rosters Baltimore has fielded in years. And as we inch closer to the preseason opener, the stakes only get higher. Every throw, every route, every rep. It all matters when the Ravens are in the grind now, and they look like a team that knows exactly what's at stake. Before we dive in, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. Your support keeps us bringing you the latest news on the Baltimore Ravens. And hey, drop your take in the comments below. We want to hear from the flock. A wave of speculation is sweeping across the NFL landscape, and it centers on a name that strikes fear into offensive lines league-wide: Myles Garrett. Sources close to the situation suggest that the Baltimore Ravens are on the brink of a blockbuster move, potentially landing the monstrous edge rusher in what could become one of the most significant defensive acquisitions of the decade. Though nothing has been officially confirmed, whispers from league insiders and cryptic social media posts have fueled rumors that Garrett is heading to Baltimore, ready to bring his game-wrecking presence to a defense already known for its ruthless edge. Fans and analysts alike are buzzing, imagining what kind of destruction Garrett could unleash in purple and black. With his rare blend of power, speed, and explosiveness, the thought of Garrett lining up opposite Odafe or next to Roquan Smith is enough to give AFC North quarterbacks nightmares. While the Ravens have remained tight-lipped, the mere possibility has dominated headlines and discussion forums, turning heads from Baltimore to Cleveland and beyond. If there's any truth to this swirling speculation, the Ravens might just be assembling a defensive front that could rival the franchise's storied past in terms of intimidation and impact. The potential arrival of Myles Garrett in Baltimore raises countless strategic questions, particularly regarding how defensive coordinator Zach Orr could deploy such a versatile and dominant force. Garrett, who has consistently ranked among the league's top pass rushers since entering the NFL, would immediately become the focal point of the Ravens' front seven. Analysts are already theorizing that his presence could allow the team to unleash more creative blitz packages while drawing double teams away from other emerging stars. This ripple effect could create opportunities for the entire defense, elevating its already formidable performance to elite status. Some even speculate that Garrett's addition might prompt a philosophical shift, pushing the Ravens to lean even more into an aggressive, pressure-heavy identity. The Ravens are historically known for their defense, but this rumored move could mark a bold new era, one where sheer physical dominance defines every snap. Of course, nothing is certain until it's announced, but that hasn't stopped the football world from imagining the possibilities. If the reports hold water, Baltimore might not just be making a statement in the AFC North, they could be staking a claim as the top defense in the entire NFL, reshaping the playoff picture in the process. From a locker room perspective, the idea of Garrett joining the Ravens adds another layer of intrigue. Known for his quiet intensity and relentless work ethic, Garrett could be the kind of leader who fits seamlessly into Baltimore's culture of accountability and toughness. However, some skeptics wonder whether integrating such a high-profile figure from a rival franchise could unsettle team chemistry. After all, Garrett has spent his entire career with the Cleveland Browns, a team that has long shared a bitter rivalry with the Ravens. Could there be lingering tensions? Or perhaps his move could serve as a rallying cry, an act of poetic vengeance that energizes the fan base and galvanizes the locker room. Observers point to similar cases in the past, where marquee players crossed divisional lines and brought with them not only talent but fire. Garrett could be embraced as a warrior joining a new brotherhood committed to a single goal: winning a championship. The Ravens have always valued grit over glitz, and if Garrett brings both, the marriage could be surprisingly smooth. While no one within the organization is publicly commenting, it's hard to ignore the whispers that something big is brewing. Something that could tilt the balance of power in the AFC for years to come. Financially, a move of this magnitude wouldn't come cheap, and that's exactly why some insiders are raising eyebrows at how Baltimore could make it happen. Garrett is not only one of the NFL's most dominant edge rushers, but also one of its highest paid defenders. Any trade or signing would likely require creative cap maneuvering, possibly involving restructuring contracts, releasing players, or offloading assets. Yet the Ravens have shown a willingness to make bold moves in the past when they believe a player can take them over the top. Could they be preparing to go all in, betting that Garrett is the missing piece to a Super Bowl puzzle? Some speculate that behind-the-scenes negotiations have been quietly progressing for weeks, with both sides exploring ways to make the numbers work. Others suggest a multi-team trade might be in the works, something complex and unprecedented, designed to land Garrett in Baltimore without gutting the core of the roster. Regardless of the method, the financial implications would be massive, and fans are already wondering what the trade-off might be. Would the reward be worth the risk? If the buzz proves true, we may soon find out just how far the Ravens are willing to go in pursuit of defensive greatness. As training camp ramps up and rosters begin to solidify, the rumor surrounding Myles Garrett's potential arrival in Baltimore refuses to die down. Fans have been dissecting every detail, from cryptic Instagram posts to sideline interactions during joint practices, searching for clues to confirm or deny the speculation. In a league where smoke often leads to fire, the persistent nature of these whispers is hard to ignore. While some believe this is merely off-season chatter amplified by social media, others point to a pattern of subtle moves by the Ravens that suggests something bigger is on the horizon. Maybe it's nothing more than fantasy, a dream scenario concocted by hopeful fans. Or maybe it's the early stages of a seismic shift that will redefine the AFC landscape. If Garrett does indeed make the leap to Baltimore, it would be one of the boldest moves in recent memory, a power play that signals the Ravens' intent to dominate on both sides of the ball. Until an official announcement is made, all anyone can do is wait, watch, and wonder. But one thing is certain, the very possibility of Garrett wearing a Ravens jersey has already changed the conversation and possibly the trajectory of the 2025 NFL season. That's it for this update. If you enjoyed the video and want to stay in the loop with exclusive news on our Baltimore Ravens, make sure to subscribe and hit that like button. We'd love to hear what the flock thinks. Drop your thoughts in the comments. See you in the next one.